walks up to you and starts slapping you and says, you stupid, right? Which is a risky thing to be. Stupid is a risky thing to be. That means she likes you, all right? Which is, a black girl walks up to a little Chinese kid and says, hey, boo, you stupid. The Chinese kid's gonna be like, no, I'm not, don't call me that, all right? So my point is that I'm not here to bash black people or anoint Chinese people. What I'm trying to say is that successful people hate risk. And the poor people, or working class poor, they live with risk as if it's their comfort blanket. Risk is almost turned into a sexy thing, right? The only two tools that humanity has at its disposal to protect itself from the risk of failure are models and formulas, all right? A model is an example of behavioral success, and a formula is the most reliable machine known to mankind. 2 + 2 until the end of time is going to be 4. It's not going to break down. It doesn't need a maintenance package. It's not going to run out of gas. The battery's not going to go dead on it. It's never going to stop working. 2 + 2, solid. 4, forever. You can count on it. You can trust it more than you can trust your mom, all right? So if you combine a formula and a behavioral model into one machine, that is the most protection you can get on earth. You can just take a minute, take a day and think about it. If you can combine those two things, you're protecting yourself from risk in a way that no one else can ever do better. And that's what successful CEOs do. And that's what people learn at the master's degree level when you go to college. All right? So in this formula book here, and the reason why I believe it's infinitely valuable, I have a simple model, visual behavioral model, that a 6th grader can understand, and a very simple formula, all right, that you can use to protect yourself from the risk of financial failure in the same way that the CEO of American Express, or the CEO of Apple, or the CEO of AOL uses to make themselves hundreds of millions of dollars a year, all right? That's what I'm offering you, all right? And I have some notes here because I want to make sure I got everything out to you, right? So, I believe that in addition to me saying this and sounding crazy, and hopefully after you take a look at this and you listen to this video and you sort of settle with this, you'll start to come around to say, hey, I may not like that guy Bintell Powell. I may think he's a loudmouth, which I am, right? And I may think he's aggressive, which I am, but irrespective of how I feel about him, what he said was actually true, all right? And I believe that the top 1% knows this and is purposefully withholding this information from the masses, right? Which again is just not fair. But I believe also that certain people are trying to clue us in, right? So those, in my experience, I've watched so many movies that speak to this, right? That speak to this, and where you see like the main character trying to use a formula to change the world, and the people around him doing everything they can to hold him back. All right? Just resisting it tooth and nail. All right? And I have some movies here that I consider my favorites, that I in the class, when I teach the class in the program, I have the students watch these movies, and as they watch the movie, you can see them. You can see it in their face. They watch the movie. They hear I give them the theory of the formula, and then I let them watch the movie, and you'll see them. They'll look at the movie, and then they'll look at me. And they'll look at the movie, and then they'll look at me. And every time they look back at me, they have more shock in their eyes as they start to realize that this is real. All right? The movies that I believe corroborate this and prove that this is true, whether you believe that my formula works or not, that proves that these are the differences between the ultra successful and the working class poor, are as follows. Moneyball, starring Brad Pitt. It's a movie about a guy who wrote a book who reinvented baseball, and this general manager for the Oakland Athletics used it and created an insane winning streak in baseball, but ended up losing after he broke like a 20-game win streak and shot from last place to first place. And how the manager of the baseball team wouldn't institute the formula. And they just kept losing and losing. And he had to get rid of all the players and force him to use the formula, and that's when the formula started working, and that's when they started winning. It's a great movie, classic movie, all right? I suggest you watch it. Another movie that goes into models and formulas explicitly, and is a movie that is a staple in the finance world. Like if you go into an interview for a finance job at, say, Morgan Stanley, and the hiring manager asks you, have you seen margin call? If you say no, they're like, get out of my office, all right? Just get out of here, you're worthless, all right? And the movie is called Margin Call. And a rocket scientist and an engineer use a model and formula to figure out that the entire world economy is about to collapse because the real estate market is overvalued. And they figure this out. They fire the guy, the engineer that creates it, but they figure this out just in time to dump all of their stock. And so that they don't go out of business, they just dump it on the rest of the world because this rocket scientist and this engineer figured it out. And they scathingly avoid going out of business, because the model and the formula that this guy came up with showed that the industry was about to collapse. All right? And the last movie that I suggest you guys take a look at and watch with your kids after you read this book is called The Big Short. Those are 3 movies that if you watch them, they will corroborate what I'm saying here today. So I hope you found this impactful. Hopefully it gives you a little more trust in the fact that, hey, this guy is not crazy, that maybe there is something in models and formulas, because my assertion is that this is not discussed in the public school system, and it's not discussed at the bachelor's level of college unless you're an engineer. Unless you're an engineer, they may give you a few models and formulas, but they're not necessarily going to tell you outright how powerful they are. All right? But when you get to the master's degree level and the PhD degree level, it's all about models and formulas and corroborating them with mathematical, calibrating them with math. All right? It's the ultimate. It's the top of the food chain. Now that brings me to my final point here. My final point is that the public schools are having an impossible time of getting children to understand the difference between model behavior and at-risk behavior. And it's probably going to be impossible for them to help the kids to understand this unless you give them a formula and program like mine. And this is the reason why. In the media, in television, on movies, television shows, you have characters that are displaying at-risk behavior in all of its glory, especially in the rap music industry, right? Yet, these people are wildly successful. They have hundreds of millions of dollars. They're openly on television talking about how they're selling drugs, or how they shot somebody, or how they stabbed somebody. You know, Kanye West is on TV. Kanye West, I think, is the richest black man in the history of America. I think his net worth is valued at over $8 billion. And he openly says, you're an idiot if you stay in school. Meanwhile, his mom and dad had PhDs. But that's a whole other discussion, all right? But I think he probably knows what he's doing, because I've heard Kanye West in some of his rap songs relative to my other model, which I gave you guys, called the value system, where he says openly in one of his raps, he says, we'll probably spend all of our money in this life because the pain that we'll go through isn't cheap to cure. There's a song called No Church in the Wild with him and Jay-Z, and Kanye West blatantly says that, right? You'll hear certain musicians or very successful people make comments about it. Chris Rock said it, all right? Profiting from pain, all right? Oh, all right, I'll get back to that. So, certain people know this, right? And they openly pick fun and display and demonstrate at-risk behavior, knowing kids in their ignorance are going to model themselves after that behavior, because in their mind, Kanye West is doing it, he's wildly successful. Why am I going to listen to you, Mr. Teacher? You drive a Pinto. So whatever you say is going out one ear, in one ear, and right out the other. In fact, I've got iPods in my ear right now in class. I'm not even listening to you, right? Until you explain to them that this at-risk behavior that they're distributing to you is actually a product. It's a sales pitch to help them sell a product to you. They are never going to listen to you, because they don't have the frame of reference and the tools to make that distinction. Hell, I know some adults that don't have the tools to make that distinction. I know teachers that don't have the tools to make that distinction. So how do you think you're going to get through to them if you don't explain this to them in this sort of a way? You're not. You're not. Nothing's ever going to change. It's going to continue. So what I'm saying to you is, first thing you got to do is engage them, because 99% of the at-risk kids are at risk, and they know they're at risk around money. They want you to tell them how to make more money. When I walk into the schools and I talk to these kids and I tell them, hey, I'm an engineer and I'm going to teach you to make a money machine, they'll stop, they'll look at me, and they'll say, wait a minute, if you're serious, I'm going to go to my locker and get my notes, because I need to take notes on what you're about to say. So are you serious? All right? So first thing we have to do is engage them. You think Mike Tyson would have been a great boxer if he wasn't engaged in boxing? Muhammad Ali wouldn't have been a great boxer if he wasn't engaged and excited about what he's learning. Michael Jordan wouldn't have been a great... Steve Jobs wouldn't have if they weren't engaged in the content. All right? So first thing we have to do is engage them and get them excited about what they're learning so they'll pay attention. And the next thing we have to do is explain to them the value of the difference between model behavior and at-risk behavior in such simple terms that they will immediately see, oh, Kanye West and these rappers are selling us a dream. All right? See, the kids that understand this, they see music and rap music and the videos, they see it for what it is, entertainment. The kids that need this, that are dropping out of school, that are causing your schools to fail, they believe that that is real life. And when they go out into the world, they keep it real and act this out. And you can't show them, and you can't convince them that what they're doing is wrong. Because Kanye West is worth $8 billion. I'm going to repeat, he's the richest black man in the history of America. So this is my case for teaching model literacy in the public school system, in junior high school, and college. You can't wait until the master's degree level to start teaching kids about the value and the power of models. It's too late by then. They've dropped out. 1.7 million at-risk kids are dropping out every year because specifically of this. And I, in this book, have a product and a solution to cure that. So I hope that gives you confidence. The book is on Amazon. You can go to our website, success4mula.net, and you can do some research on some executives that have read the book. You can see their testimonials. You can if you'd like to contact me to discuss this, I can do a presentation on this for you. We can whiteboard this out. I can give you a glimpse into our curriculum and how we teach. I'm not giving you the curriculum for free, but I'll show you a few lesson plans so that you can see that this is real, all right? And what I'm trying to say is that I have the technology. I can rebuild all of them. God bless.